Caffeine Cantrips is not responsible for angry DMs jumping across the table because you mind F them.
Right? And if you're a DM and you notice your players doing this because they watch this episode, be understanding.
Right? If I'm the player and I'm helping, but you as the DM aren't doing the work, then we have to, really ask ourselves a deep and important question.
But
the
world is not, I think, always that perfect. What if
get out of my izukai.
Your DM isn't the type of person who can take that kind of frank, open communication? How can you then convey that information or get them to change behaviors without having open communication?
Because that's, one of the crazy things that happens in our games is we get sidetracked. And
yes.
There goes the storyline, and we'll come back in 3 sessions. But
what did you do? I don't know. We destroyed 3 cities. I just want to go for donuts. Hope you guys like the talk, and we'll see you next time. Or else. What?
I swear that's the first time it's ever happened to me.
They want us to do another one?
Double summoning.
Let me go.
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
What does it mean? Give me that.
Okay.
All right.
Jeez.
It's an all-nighter, guys.
Okay.
Read aloud. Yeah, you already heard this. Yeah. Or be destroyed, replaced. Welcome to Caffeine and Cantrips, the show where we talk about D&D. Or else. Oh boy, we've got an extra special topic for you.
Golly, oh boy.
One that we think will be very useful to those of you who are looking for that little extra to bring your game up to the next level. This could possibly be the most important topic to TTRPGs and D&D itself. Are you ready to take on this monster?
Jeez, I guess I have to be.
For those of you that read what you're going to click on, you already know why you're here. And you already have your notepad ready. For everyone else, this is going to be a full and informative ride. We're super excited today. We're super excited today because we're going to stretch the limits of those real life skills that you've been accumulating. It's time to learn how to train your DM. Caffeine and Cantrips back at it again. I guess since it was a double intro,
whammy.
Didn't really describe us. I am Byron.
Oh, I'm Sean.
And we welcome you to the show. Thanks for being here. Mm-hmm. If this is your 2nd episode, 3rd episode, 5th episode,
1st episode,
30-somethingth episode, Thank you so much for being here. Today's topic, I think, is actually, like the little letter said, I actually do think that this could be one of the most important topics.
You think so?
I do. Because one of the biggest problems out there on the D&D grapevine is the lack of DMs in the space.
Yes.
Right? And there's no way to get great DMs out there than to start off a whole new batch of new DMs.
Yep.
Right? And with that, we've all probably had good experiences playing with good or great DMs. Mm-hmm. But to help new DMs, intermediate DMs, find the next level, find the next thing that they can work on, and become robust and better in everything that they do, we got to learn how to help them, how to train them.
Right, as a player.
Right? And this is not necessarily as a PC alone, but as a player of the game, right? We got to help each other out.
Right.
Find those weak spots, help build up that kind of bench strength, as it were, that table strength, and bring the whole level up. So I think this is actually a really interesting topic to talk about today.
It is. And when I was thinking about it, I was like,
no,
I don't want it to come off like we're trying to like manipulate the DM or trying to force the DM to do things that they don't want to do.
Okay.
Right. Because I don't know. I feel like I feel like if you're not careful, and the idea of like training your DM can feel kind of heavy-handed. But I think there are ways.
That's a different kind of dungeon master.
I think there are ways of being genuinely helpful and productive while you sort of help train the DM to become a better version of themselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Well, and I mean, it doesn't matter what level you're at.
Mm-hmm.
There's always things that we can improve on.
Well, just like how a DM can train their players to be the sort of players that he sort of or she or they need in their game. I think,
which is the normal side of this interaction,
well, exactly, right?
Yeah, what we're
like oh, you guys are two murder hobo. Let me train you guys not to be murder hobo, right?
Yes, and we've talked about that.
Yes, I do think there are things, a lot of things, maybe that a player and or players at a table can do to help their DMs become the DMs that they need. So
that's wicked.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Well, since we both agree, this never happens. let's dig into this, I think. And since we're talking about players, perhaps let's start with the idea of like the player's role in shaping the D&D experience.
Okay.
Right.
Well, give us some context.
Since we're talking,
roll in that context.
We're really, get that scope going. Because, like you said, and I reiterated and confirmed, we're very used to this idea when it's DM being the font, right? And it's spraying out to
spraying everywhere. The DM just spraying everything with their font.
Like a font. Like a font of knowledge and or wisdom and or normally sits in the leadership role of the table or whatever, right? This may not be for every table, but it's for the normal table where the DM kind of guides these interactions and whatnot. But just like we've talked with RP, there is a measure of understanding and control that the players have, right? The PC players
lots,
have.
Actually.
So how we work D&D as a collaborative storytelling experience between the players and the DM, right, in RP can be the exact same way that we're trying to give and share wisdom, knowledge, and lessons.
Yep.
Right? I do believe that this is a two-way street. We just don't normally go up that way.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Normally it's receiving and kind of working on what it is that you have in front of you, but this is more of a kind of a higher level view, I suppose, of the workings.
Yeah, it's not normal for a player to think that they can have that they have that much sort of out of game agency. Right?
Well, and even in game.
Yes.
There's both ways that you can slice this. And a lot of you out there, not all of you, but some of you would be asking like, what power do we as players have to affect any of this change? Right? How do we? They're in control of the narrative. They're in control of the story.
It's their campaign.
It's their campaign in their world with their rules.
Yeah.
And they're hiding behind that little screen. Right? Like it seems like there's a lot of daunting barriers to this particular idea. And I don't think that that's really necessarily fair.
Right.
We are starting to see in kind of the public discourse that DMs and the idea of DMs is an act of service, as brought out by Brennan Lee Mulligan, right? He's talking about how you want to give the best that you can, right? It's not about making the best or forcing other people to adhere to the best. So whether you want to call that, an act of service or something along the lines of somebody who is attempting to try and create the best thing for themselves, but they want to work with you in order to create that. Either way, you are an integral part of that connection, of that exchange when you're a player, right? The story follows you. Doesn't matter what's happening in the city across the continent because nobody's there to watch it, right? The focus is here on the campaign that you're running, right? And so there is a lot of power, much like the power of your PCs in the story, you have at the table because you are a valuable member of that.
PC power.
PC power.
PC power.
I don't know. We shouldn't get canceled for that. We're totally genuine and not. I don't know. That PC power seems like it could be a bad thing. Dun, dun, dun.
Player character power?
Player character power.
Yeah.
That's what we mean. I don't know what the other side of that would be. It's anytime you attach power. Anyway. No, and so
a PC oppression.
Remember
PCarchy.
I gotta jump back on my train of thought. No, it's okay. The idea that you don't have any power when you're sitting at the table is just false.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And being a valuable member, being one of the 5, one of the 6, one of however many it is that are part of the game, you need to participate in that part of the game, right? And really control that space. And that influence can move out from you, right? And so what is the role of a DM? If you've never been a DM, if you've kind of looked across the table with awe and splendor, that's awesome.
Does anyone look at you like that?
At
the
me?
table? Yeah.
I don't know. I like to think so.
I
Maybe
do,
it's just
Byron.
in the mirror.
I do.
I know you do. I see the hearts in your eyes. I think to understand the role of the DM and some of the challenges that they face, we kind of need to see what they do. And like, I mean, off the top of my head, right? Like they're generally quote unquote in charge of being the major storyteller, doing world building, rule adjudication, all the NPCs and all the interactions that's happening there, player engagement and table management to make sure everybody has their turn in the spotlight and nobody's taking too much time or too much space. Improvisation, because you players are crazy and doing all the things that you do. Controlling the amount of feedback that's generally happening, asking for feedback, because rarely do we like give that freely. Making sure that we respect player agency, balancing the challenges of like combat or other encounters that are going to happen, plot development, organization.
It's a lot of things.
And that's not even all of it, right? Like continuity of the story and stuff. Like, there's so much that's going on that if you have a great DM,
providing a living room, buying the snacks, preparing dinner,
organizing the calendar, right? So that everybody can make the sessions, there's so much in-game, out-of-game that a lot of DMs do, that if you see a DM who's good at it, they're so good at it, or they make it painless. So it becomes done with such perceived effort that it takes nothing. And you just don't notice it. You just experience the benefit of it. Right. And so it's really important when we're trying to look at how can we help a DM? How can we train any of those skills to be stronger, that we understand that there's a huge cloud of things that we can pick from?
Yes.
Right. And whether you pick one or you're picking multiple, or the DM's asking for feedback on specific things, right? This is where we got to like kind of take a step back as players and understand that, yes, we're responsible for a lot ourselves.
Right.
But at the table, not anywhere near kind of as much all at once.
Right.
It really feels like, right? And so when we're looking at all of these things, and as we kind of go forward in this conversation, I think there's 2 things to really remember when we're trying to train the DM. 2 major things. And these are super short because we're probably going to talk about it again. The first thing, I think that we need to always show appreciation. This is a general rule for everybody at the table, but always showing appreciation, showing that people are enjoying the effort, expressing that is really important. We'll probably talk about more of that later. And the second one is patience and understanding, right? Let's pretend that everybody at the table is a poet and a scholar, right? They're trying to do their best. Let's receive it with the best intentions, right? And let people have the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Right. And until their patterns prove us wrong. And then that shows us where we can engage those areas of weakness. And remember that the DM is learning and growing in some way. Even if they're super awesome, they still have a ways to go and they're on their own journey.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are great
those
points.
are really important things.
No, they
top of
really,
everything else.
And now at some point, I think I want to park on that be patient thing. But specifically for that first point, show appreciation. It's super important for everyone. Yeah, especially the viewers of this show to show their appreciation by hitting that like and subscribe button.
It's shameless. Yes, train us to give you more of the content that you want.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because we have no idea what we're doing. We just get summoned here randomly.
Yeah,
and forced to talk.
Then they force us to talk again and again and again. But no, if you like the idea of this and you kind of like what you're hearing already, hit the like button. If you think that we should never have done this topic, hit the like button. And then jump in the comments and let us know what we should work on to help you at your table. Because we only get better when we get that feedback.
Yeah. Because doing a show like this, it's hard. But what's harder than this show probably is being a DM. Because really, being a DM is hard enough as it is. Like you mentioned, all the stuff that you do takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, right, to do it sort of well, right? Unless you're like just a rock star. But even then, I think if you're a rock star, it's because you've been putting in so much effort, right?
That's exactly
into it.
That's exactly it.
And if the DM is weak at something and they're working at trying to improve that, that makes it even harder, right? When you're trying to do something that you're bad at. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of trying to train your DM, right? Like if they're trying to do it and they're having a hard time, it's because it's already difficult being a DM, right? And the thing is, when you're doing things that you're bad at, is that you're going to be bad at it, and because you're bad at it, the DM is going to fail at it, like lots and lots until they get better and better and better at it, right? But if they're bad at it, they're going to fail, right? And when you fail, typically, it doesn't feel great, right?
Sure doesn't.
Right? At least for me personally, it leads to like feelings of inadequacy, right?
Oh, that makes
anxiety,
sense.
shame, guilt, maybe.
Oh.
Frustration for sure, maybe anger, right?
Yeah.
Or any of those combinations or all of them, right? Plus many other probably negative things, depending on sort of where you're at in life.
No, this is...
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, this is very true. Yeah.
And that's not great news for your table or your DM or you. Because what if those kind of feelings build up, inevitably, not inevitably, but high chances that one of two things will happen. Either DM will burn out, right? And be like, I need a break or whatever. I can't do this anymore. Or they'll just be like, no, I'm done. And just GTFO.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Emotional burnout or burnout of your driveway because they're going home and they ain't coming
right.
back.
And that ain't good.
Nah, it ain't good.
So if they are trying their best to improve on something that they're bad at, there are ways for us to keep the DM going. Oh. Right? Because you want them to improve.
Yes.
Right? It's just great, better for them, better for you, better for the whole table. And there, like, again, specific things, I'm just going to go through a couple of them, I think, is to, what?
No, I think I'm going to go through a couple. I might go through more.
I'm going to go.
Wait and see.
Ooh.
I'll give you some feedback.
Like and subscribe, and maybe you'll find out. No, number one, I think, express gratitude.
Oh, okay. Yep.
As much as you can. So if there is something that they're doing and they fail at it, at some point in that session, say, hey, that was great. Thanks for trying. Right? I can't wait to see what it is that you're, that seeing where this goes. Right? Like, so maybe they are trying, like, be specific about it. What you're have gratitude for, what you say.
Yes.
Right? So particularly, for example, if they are trying to make more interesting NPCs that are interactive, and they bring up this NPC and they just made up on the spot, but it just came off really awkward, right? But it's obviously something they knew they're trying. Maybe after the session or at the break or something, hey, you know what? I'm really glad that you're trying something new with those NPCs. I can see where it's going, and I like it. Keep going, right? I know it's difficult, but hey, awesome, right? It goes a long way, especially when you fail. Right? If someone tell you, hey, you know what? That's great. Keep doing that.
Right.
And if it is even like minutely good, what they did, or maybe better than last time, celebrate those small wins.
Okay.
Right. Find excuses, right, to celebrate something that they're doing. Right. So maybe it was, right, this scene was just well described. just this one out of the whole session, out of 3 sessions, all of a sudden there's a well-described scene.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. Right? Celebrate it. Man, that was awesome. Like that scene was, I could see it in my mind. All right. Like actually, like I didn't have to ask a lot of questions. It was great. Right. Or maybe there was an engaging role play moment. Right. Maybe they're not great at role play. Right. They're like combat DM. Yeah. But they tried.
They tried.
And be like, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want more of that. Please. Wonderful. Right. Even if it's not a great roleplay session, the fact that they're trying is so good.
That is most of the battle.
Yes.
Right. If you're trying, you're generally
that's
progressing.
The win. That's the win, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there was a clever puzzle design. That was cool. Maybe it wasn't that clever to you, but to them, it's maybe their first time doing it.
Right.
Right. Awesome. This is what we asked for. Thank you. Right. I know it doesn't come naturally to you. Right. Maybe you just Googled a puzzle and you imported it. That's fine. Thank you for putting in any sort of puzzles. Right. Because that's one of the things that we asked for in session 0.
Kindergarten level. Keep it there. PCs get kindergarten level.
Right.
I put the white hat on the parrot. Congratulations.
Polly says you can go through.
Thanks, Polly.
Right. And especially when you're doing something when you're not sure about, positive reinforcement is so powerful.
Right.
To keep it going, right? Because if you don't have that, I can guarantee you a DM who is not who's unsure of themselves will think, oh, am I doing the right thing? I must sound so stupid. Every time I try to do a voice, it's that stupid Italian voice that I can never do. Right? Like I sound like a cheap knockoff Mario. Right? and that bad talk just cycles, right? And if you let it go, it just spirals down. But that positive reinforcement tends to just cut that off. Right? And then they'll be like, oh, great. So you mean it wasn't awful? It's appreciated? Wicked. I'll do it more.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think perhaps a great way of doing this is at session 0 or any of your kind of update session zeros is just talking about like how you as a DM receive praise, right? Because if you're like me, compliments they just bounce off, right? Because I'm so in my head or I'm so like focused on whatever that in the session it's really hard to accept compliments or criticisms or whatever, right?
You don't believe people.
I don't believe anyone.
So you didn't trust anyone, guys.
Whatever, we're all working through our own stuff, man. But when we're in these kinds of things, like, hey, you know what? At the table, I'm so focused on like running the session and doing all this stuff and working on these things that I'm trying to work on. Like, I know it sucks because it's an extra thing, but could you like text me or send me just like a voice message afterwards? Just be like, hey, really appreciate the fact that you did the blah, 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 blah. Really liked it. Keep it up, champ. Right? And great. When I'm out of that mode, when I've decompressed, when I'm like in the rebuilding phase or in my analytical post-session phase, I'd be like, oh, look, I've got like a bunch of text messages, voice text, so I can't even like preview them. And listen, you're like, hey, man, thanks. It was really great today. I really liked the blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, that's awesome. I worked hard on that.
It'll be a great thing to do. Because you know how there's PC inspiration tokens when they do something awesome? You should have DM ones. All the players have one.
It's an interesting concept.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what they do. I don't know what the DM can use it for. But it's just something as a silent show of appreciation in the moment. Oh, here.
Maybe they're like
popcorn.
Yeah.
Like a jujube or something.
I was going to say, like, if there's something that the DM does every session, like it's their quote unquote their job to do that, to bring chips for the snack bowl or whatever. Like you give them like the little DM token thing, like, hey, you're doing a really good job. Great. You can like cash that in and be like, hey, Sean, I'm cashing in my DM token. You're bringing the chips this session.
Right.
I don't have time to go to the grocery store.
The session is at your house.
The session's at your house. Super.
I'm gonna drive your car this weekend. DM token.
Maybe, I don't know. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing.
I like it.
But do note that people take criticism and compliments in very different
Yes.
ways, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that you could talk about in general at your session 0 is like, hey, if we want to give constructive criticism, where can I send my compliment sandwich to? How do we do that? How is it going to be best received? When, where, whatever, right? I think it's just an interesting thing to talk about when we are expressing that gratitude and whatnot. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's cool. We should do that. Anyways, I think jumping back onto my train here, on my track.
Yeah.
I think the last thing on this point of how to keep your DM like mentally stable as right, like from spiraling down into that pit of despair.
We're all crazy here, Alice.
is to, I think, share your own struggles. Because as players, hopefully we're working on stuff too. And hopefully we're struggling with things.
Yep.
Hopefully you're struggling with something. Because that means you're pushing yourself beyond your boundaries, trying to become better at something that you're not great at, right? Share your own struggles, right? Talk about like, yeah, man, like when I try to do that Italian voice, this time it sounded like a stupid Luigi. Like, like, oh, I can't believe it. But, you know.
Oh, man, I love pasta.
That's like a Jamaican.
I'm a Jamaican plumber. Oh, no.
Right? Like, I first sound like a Jamaican, then I sound like a Russian. Right? Like,
blood.
It's just.
Now I am pasta craving.
Right? Like, I can't believe it. You know, and then I'm sure someone else will try to help you through that. Right?
Right.
But what it really does is that it normalizes that learning process to show the DM that they're not the only ones struggling. They're not the only ones feeling like stupid.
Yes.
Right? Or feeling like they failed at something.
Yeah.
Right? So then they don't feel so bad about their own failures and their own struggles. Right? And you don't even need to do that to the DM. You can do that with other players while the DM is listening.
Oh.
Right?
I guess, yeah.
Right? Because they get it. They get it. But yeah, very quick, those points.
Sure.
Things you can do to sort of help your DM not fall off the deep end when it comes to being a DM and working and failing at things that they're not good at.
Well, I like that you said to share your struggles. Because I think this is a very important thing. And as the saying goes, you know, don't throw rocks in a glass house.
Oh, yeah.
Generally a smart idea. And what I mean by that is
very small roll,
very tiny pebbles, not rock enough.
It's a stone.
They're just don't do that. But it's I think since we're all working on things, try not to set a bar of authority when we're doing this.
What do you mean?
That's a great question. What I mean is, you know, it's your job at the table if you are a player, right? A PC, right? To bring your character to life and set the bar high, you know, leading by example, appropriately high for whatever your skill level is, right? And you need to encourage other people to develop their backstories, their motivations, the distinct personalities, all the flavor for their characters, right? But you need to own that before you go mowing somebody else's grass.
Oh.
Right? So if you're like, oh, I don't role play, but your NPCs suck.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't constructive and I have nothing to work with there. Right? My NPCs suck is not criticism. That's just a statement that I can't work with.
As a famous carpenter said, take the plank out of your own eye before you criticize the speck in your brother's eye.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't have a brother or a plank in my eye. But
hey, I'm your brother. Your brother.
So these types of things, when you are focusing on yourself and you are bringing your best to the table, because we're assuming that's what you're doing, right? Focus on making sure that you are being not a boss, but a leader at the table, right? And the best way to be a leader at the table is to be a truly engaged player.
What's the difference between a boss and a leader?
For me, I find a boss is someone who delegates and directs.
Okay.
Whereas a leader is somebody who establishes a culture or a work ethic from the front. Right? So a boss will tell you to go work hard all day.
Right.
And sit up in the office on like Minecraft and Candy Crush. Maybe. we see you. But the leader is like the idea of like the lead dog in a sled dog team, right? That dog has to run the fastest.
Right.
That dog has to pull the hardest. That dog has to, drive everybody else's energy up by showing that they're not tired, even if they are, right? Because the rest of the team is depending on them to kind of break trail. So that's, to me, a leader is someone who leads. Yes, you can, quote unquote, lead from behind. Double head nod. But the idea is, if you're bossing, that's the criticism. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You need to work on this. And you've got a plank in your eye, right? You're blind to your own faults.
Yep.
Whereas the leader is the person who's like, I'm trying to work on my NPC banter, right? DM, I really want to just like chat with some NPCs just to let you know that that's coming up. Right. And just show the other players, hey, we can talk to the NPCs and we can have a good conversation, a really productive role play, and all the other stuff that we've talked about in our catalog of videos and conversations. But you can do these things, step up to the plate and do them, work on your own areas, right?
Yeah.
And show others where you found success, right? So providing examples of how players can ask questions to enrich the narrative is definitely a good one. Like we talked about before, asking, probing, asking, clarifying, recapping, and summarizing statements, right? Hey, if we all did this, we'll figure out what the room looks like. We'll all have the same picture on our mind, and then we can move forward instead of doing a bunch of stuff. Oh, can I get a description again? Do some stuff. Oh, can I get a description again?
What episode was that? The trust? Clarifying questions?
I don't know.
I think so. Anyways, look at you guys let us know. We just talk.
Yeah, we're just the heads. But this is a great way of doing that, right? So providing these questions and showing other people how it can work, right? We can also explain, like you talked about players working together, right? We can explain how we can enhance the game by working together and supporting each other's goals, right? Hey, in character, out of character, whatever you want to do, what is this your character trying to do while we're in this town? Oh, what are you trying to do while we're in this town? Okay, great. Like you were talking about, we're having conversations.
Right.
The DM should be listening to these conversations.
Hopefully.
And then they're like, oh.
Not playing Candy Crush on their phone.
If you have time to Candy Crush behind that DM screen, your players are
DM boss.
DM boss. Wow, that's a shirt. But the idea of working together collaboratively, right?
Yeah.
Discussing how you can, like, as a team, positively react to twists in the narrative that you weren't expecting, instead of there's a tree across the road. Now we have to go across land.
This is BS.
Again,
right?
Oh, this guy doesn't want to tell us what we want to know. Let's just kill him. Right? That happens. I didn't ask what size the room is.
This is the stupidest encounter ever.
Right.
Yeah.
But reacting positively, showing everybody else how you can be a more engaged player.
Right.
Or the reactions that an engaged player would have in these scenarios.
Right.
To get more out of the moment. To essentially create almost like a vacuum that the DM will instinctively want to fill.
Okay.
Right. And because you're asking them directly for these clarifying things, because you're reacting positively to the things that they've just done, right? That's keeping that motivation or keeping that train of thought going. Because that's, one of the crazy things that happens in our games is we get sidetracked. And
yes.
There goes the storyline. And we'll come back in 3 sessions. But
what did you do? I don't know. We destroyed 3 cities. I just want to go for donuts. I don't know what happened.
Nobody knows what happened. Memory wipe. Hey, donuts. So these types of things are great ways to inspire the rest of the table to kind of subtly, step by step, improve the DM's game. And if the DM is being honest with the players, hey guys, I want to work on this and this and this. You go, okay, cool. Let's make sure as players that we're going to create reasons for our PCs to actively engage in the things that the DM wants to work on so that we can work on it. Right? And kind of DM your PC, as you have coined, in order to make that productive space.
The DM is a player too. The players are DMs too.
Oh. That's you. It's me. It's all of us. And so like really the rub of the whole thing is that there's lots of work that you can do, right? To provide that huge, beautiful, hooky platform. In order to every session. Should be a bingo card on Caffeine Cantrips. Got it. Sorry, audio listeners. But if you can go out there, right, and we're not going to throw these stones in the glass house, we're going to go and make sure that our product is as good as we can possibly make it. That we're showing up for the session to play the best game that we can play. Right? All of these things. We have come with the best of intention, with the best of preparation, with the best of everything, yada, yada, yada. Now we're here. Now we're here to play. Awesome. There is something for everyone to work off of.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And there will be. There's something for everyone to work off of. And if you're engaged, and then more people become engaged because they see the excitement and the fun that you're having, and they start having that too, then all of a sudden your game is awesome.
It's true.
Right? That's true. What happens.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you are Jamaican, Jamaican farmers, your game is awesome.
Yeah.
Right? And good for you. But like that's something that one of you or a few of you initiated, and now you get to reap what you sowed.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the biggest thing to assist that beyond being a leader, right? Beyond doing all the things that you need to do as players, because yes, there is a lot. There's asking questions and offering feedback.
Well, there it is. There it is.
There's the aioli in the sandwich. Having open communication with the DM and the DM having open communication back, right? This is a two-way street once again.
Yep.
Is super important. Like we said, the DM or rather the players, if you have followed some of our other stuff, I know you do this now, but like setting goals for each session.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If you as the DM in your prep have, let's call it plot agnostic goals, just for the session, mechanically, organizationally, whatever, there are 3 things that I want to accomplish in session.
Oh, yeah. In my notes, I call them personal goals.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Personal goals. If you have personal goals in your DM prep, letting the players know, hey, guys, thanks for coming today, blah, 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 blah. Really happy to see you before we get started today. Just to let you know some of the things that I'm going to be working on.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That I'm going to specifically ask you for feedback on because I'm changing the way I do some of this stuff. Let me know if it's weird, funky, great, awesome, terrible. You didn't see a change. Just give me your honest feedback.
Awesome.
And I'm going to ask you, but these are the 3 things that I'm working on. But up.
Because I have my player personal goals and I keep it to myself. I should announce it at the beginning, actually.
If you want specific feedback.
I think that's great. Because then people can help me do that. They know help me, somebody, help me. So they know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Right. So when I go and I try something and it maybe doesn't work, they know what I'm trying to do. They're not like, what the hell is that, Sean? Right.
Well, and if people are aware of what they're supposed to be looking at, right? This is like the opposite of a magician's trick. Right? The magician is all about misdirection, illusion, and whatnot. No. I want you to see the things that I am trying to improve. I am trying out funky new rules on an encounter that we will be having tonight.
Yeah.
Right? Or probably will be having if you guys do what you... But I
just want a donut.
There's an encounter tonight that I'm going to have to explain the rules. I've tried to make sure that these homebrew rules or whatever are as succinct as possible. If it is confusing, I need to know that, right? Because I want to do more of this funky stuff in the future, and I need to have that feedback if you're ready for it, if I'm ready for it, yada, 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 right? But if we provide the pretense or the precognition to say, I'm going to follow up on this, then you can ask that specific question, and they will have an answer for you.
Right.
Right? Even if it's, I didn't notice anything. My dog died, and I just showed up because it was to get my mind off of everything.
Right.
You know what? Thank you. Really appreciate you coming. Thanks for letting us help you get your mind off of things for a couple minutes, right? Whatever.
Right. Cool. No, that's great.
Right?
That's great.
But if you don't share, if you keep those cards to your chest, then they can't actually assist you with something that you might only be making like tweak changes, right? It's tiny incremental. They can't.
So this is things that DMs can do to help themselves.
This is something this is just an idea of open communication going both ways,
okay.
right?
Yep.
Simultaneously, the player can say, hey, DM, remember when you talked about this goal that you had? I'm going to specifically make sure that I'm giving you an opportunity to enhance that, to deal with that, to flex those muscles, whatever it is, right? So having that and emphasizing the importance of respectful communication as well.
Remember, DM, when you said you're trying to work on not killing your PC characters in your campaign? I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I'm going to give you an opportunity not to TPK. Request denied. I said fireball. Yes, these types of things are going to be important, and that's going to be that follow through. That's going to be that feedback, right? Because so often we appreciate, but we don't appreciate specifically.
Yeah.
Right. We don't appreciate with a vocalized kind of accompaniment to, that was real good. It was real good. I'm just going to not tell anyone and go home. Right. Like it happens.
I really enjoyed it. Oh, I'm going to keep that to myself.
Yeah. And simultaneously, like, that was a really good session. The vibe was just on. And you're like, I've been spending like 5 months getting the vibe ready. What do you mean the vibe?
Right.
Like what worked for you this session? How can I replicate it? Right. Training them means that you need to have a specific goal, and that communication needs to be there. And like I said, respectful dialogue, right? Because we're dealing with areas of improvement, areas of weakness, areas of struggle, whatever it is. Do keep in mind. And if they are goals, like we said, like I already said, check back in. Hey, you haven't asked us about feedback for this particular thing that you mentioned about a month ago. Here's some feedback for you because you haven't asked for it. Are you still on that goal, or are you working on something else?
Right.
Right? Oh, okay. Cool. Boom.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Done and done.
Done and done. And that's kind of, when we're giving advice and when we're attempting to be polite in receiving advice, at some point, it's not me, it's you, right? If I'm the player and I'm helping, but you as the DM aren't doing the work and you're not engaging in that dialogue or that progression or that productive whatever it is, je ne sais quoi, of life, then we have to, really ask ourselves a deep and important question.
Yeah.
Like,
what's that?
Have you liked?
Oh.
Have you progressed the algorithm?
Right. It's not us. It's you.
We literally can't. There is a fourth wall that we cannot break yet.
We're
Caffeine Cantrips.
We're working on it.
Yes, the goblins are working on.
I mean, but really, who am I kidding? I like every single one of my videos. Just putting that out there, guys.
May or may not have a biased slant on this one, but
I may have not even watched the whole thing before I like and subscribe.
Yeah, me too. Though, the longer watch times are really important to the algorithm.
Yep.
We just hope that you get something out of this message.
Yeah.
And if you do get something out of this message, perhaps jump on over to the other platforms. So you can consume it on the bus, in the car safely, audio only.
On the toilet, in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You have a speaker in your shower?
No, I used to have those like bone induction.
Oh,
ones.
yeah.
They were waterproof. So cool.
Caffeine Cantrips pipe directly into your skull.
While you're working out, playing quietly while you're trying to sleep.
Caffeine Cantrips.
Under your pillow?
Friendly edition.
Okay.
Yeah, well, skeletons don't have ears. You pipe it right in the bones.
Oh. Yeah.
But
I was like, at a funeral home? What? At a crematorium?
Oof. No.
No.
That's too hot. But anyway, thank you for being here. I'm going to keep talking now.
If you must.
I do like to talk.
Okay. It's not me. It's you.
Yeah, it's definitely you. And so one quote that I really have glommed onto and got my talons into is that people don't rise to their potential.
Yep.
They fall to their systems.
It's like the 7th time you said that, I think.
Oh, because I repeat myself a lot because I'm a DM and players just don't get it.
It is a good idea. It's a good concept of value. Right?
What it is that the voice that you picture in your head always sounds perfect. The encounter that they build ahead of time always runs smoothly.
Yeah.
Right? All of these things that they are doing behind the scenes are not when they're sitting at the table,
Right.
when everyone is there, when it's showtime, when it's game time, however you want to kind of put that. And when you fall to your systems, when you fall to your prep, okay, if you did a lot of prep, you're probably still going to hit all those story notes.
Right.
Right? You're probably going to go through and hit those character goals, personal goals, right? When we have these things, these reminders, these systems there, we generally find that we have more success.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Generally, if you just wing it, and if you are completely like a spontaneous DM and whatnot, more power to you. But I bet you would be even better with some prep.
No, absolutely.
I bet you.
Those personal goals of mine I've been trying to do for like a long time. And it wasn't until I wrote it down, I had it in front of me while I was playing, that I'm like, oh, I'm doing it. Right? So absolutely, you fall to your systems.
You fall to your systems. And this isn't a criticism of any one person. It's all of us, right? Myself included. And this is why I love it so much, because it's made me want to improve my systems. And if I'm playing in your game, I want to share my success. I want to share my systems with you. And then it's up to you whether to take them and improve your game in that
That's
way.
what I did.
I know. And it improved your game. And then you did it. And other people were like, we love how you play.
Yeah.
How are you playing like that? And you're like, oh, I do this thing.
Let me share it with my system too. Yeah.
Now everybody has it, right? And so it's just this dissemination of information that kind of gets out there, whether it's a trickle or it's a deluge, right? That improves the game one step at a time. So because I shared that tip with you, you shared that tip with the table. Now there's multiple people and some of you out there who are enjoying these tips and making your game better.
Yeah.
Right? So if I share my system with you, the height that you fall to is a little bit less.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At worst, it's a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, and then maybe it's more. So if as a player, I want my DM to work on certain things, or I want to train them, right, in certain areas where they found weakness, or I found some of their weakness, or I believe that they could use improvement, and I want to kind of do it for them. Do the research. Understand what it is that you're talking about, so that you can be not a voice of authority, but you can be a voice of reason and wisdom and like knowledgeable background on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And attempt to walk a mile in their shoes. Now this one can get, to steal their shoes. No.
I need to walk a mile.
If you're doing the research and or if you have been a DM, right? If you've been a DM, it's way easier to conceptually, quote unquote, walk a mile in their shoes.
Yes.
Versus never having been a DM, right? But if you've never been a DM, now's your chance to be a DM.
That's right.
Everybody needs more DMs. It's just a fact.
If you're a player, you're a DM.
Run a one-shot. Find out what it feels like to come up with 6 NPC names that sit at a random table in a tavern that you didn't know that your PCs were going to talk about. Or 2, or with, or whatever. And you have to come up with 6 voices, 6 identities, 6 sets of goals, blah, 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 blah. To say like, it's super easy. It's John, Jim, Becky, Penny, and Bring. Oh, wait, there's 6. Yeah, you only did 5. Right. So like there's these things.
And Becky too.
Becky Ann.
Becky Brain. And then Brain Becky.
Don't brain Becky. She's nice. The idea of doing the research, the idea of getting out there and trying to get practical knowledge, right, helps everyone. Because then if you're a player, you have better things to comment, to criticize, to add, right, to those systems. And you have a more appreciation of what's going on, right? So things that look easy, and when you go and try and do them and they're not so easy, you're like, oh, wow, now I know what I'm going to say in my next compliment sandwich. Right? I immediately know one of those 2 things that I want to talk about,
right? Because
they do that so well. I didn't even notice.
Yep.
But they've always got that on lock. And work with them. When I say that,
with who?
The DM.
Okay.
Actually work directly with them. Ask them what their learning style is.
Where do you work? What office?
Yeah.
I've just applied to the
referral bonus. No, ask them, like, are they kind of that researching? Are they that lecturing? Are they that, and lecture as in like auditory learners? So what is that? Yeah, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, right?
Yeah.
So like, do they learn by reading? Do they learn by seeing somebody else do? Do they learn by doing it themselves?
Mhm.
Figuring out how they learn, specifically asking them, giving them your systems, will work best if you can tailor those systems to how they learn. So if I give you a 39-page document on how to roll initiative better,
Mm.
and you are an auditory learner, it's not going to be super helpful. It's too much data, too much information.
Right.
It's not enough. But if you were to boil that down and just have like a quick 5-minute conversation,
Mhm.
maybe that would work. And speaking of which, if you have the opportunity, hop on the other side of the screen and co-DM with them.
Are you allowed to do that?
Why not?
It's true.
Right? So say, hey guys, I'm going to kind of run my PC on autopilot a little bit because this isn't my story. This isn't my arc.
Mhm.
This isn't, something that my character is super about. I'm still going to play my character, but I really want to show the DM how my blank works. Right? And so if that's,
Hey, you want to say what a blank work?
I'd love to see how your blank works. I'm glad you're working on it.
You let me in on the outside of the screen.
So whether that's co-DMing a session, whether that's a story, an arc, an encounter, a puzzle,
Mhm.
all the narrative descriptions in combat, whatever it is, like, hey, I want to show you, if you're willing, by being a leader, by showing you how I did it or how I find success, or you've always said that you appreciate how I do this.
Right.
You want to do it better? Let me jump on the other side and I can do it live with you so you can see how that would work.
Right.
Right. And you're not trying to take away their power or their space, but it gives you a chance to demonstrate the power of your wisdom, demonstrate the power of your experience.
Oh, you're divvying up treasures and magical items? Let me show you how to do that.
Let me show you how to do that.
Let me on that side of the screen. Let me show you.
No, that's easy. You just give it to them and watch the piranha feeding fest happen. But no, if you're like, hey, I've got a really smooth way of running combat encounters. You're like, oh, you do? Sure, let me see that. Oh, I don't understand this. Okay, cool. Would you like me to run the combat encounter next time? Yeah, I know I get to see the stat blocks, but I was a DM anyway, so I already kind of know what the hell's going on. Let me run it with you. Okay, cool, sure. Right? Asking for that or suggesting that particular option is a great way of allowing you to demonstrate that at game time, live and in color, right?
Yeah.
And not just theoretically, because everything works great theoretically.
It's true. You got to do it, and that's when the nuts and bolts fall out, and you're like, oh, gotta fix that.
Yeah, right away, right?
Yeah.
Before this goes off the rails. And so kind of, I suppose, in closing of this idea of kind of being the leader, right? Make sure that you are working on those compliment sandwiches. I mentioned a couple times today. Those are great ways of creating nothing burger. Great ways of creating that kind of proper feedback loop.
Yep.
Revisit the trust and betrayal system. Get on that circle and give that positive reinforcement. Understand that you are two people on your own journeys and that there are real emotions and feelings and effort and hours. And time and dedication and everything that they have to give. They probably are. So reinforce those things, right? Gratitude, the feedback is so important. And setting the scope of the conversation will help you do that. So, hey, I read this really cool book and I want to talk to you about it. Can you read the book too?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So then when we're talking about something, we both know what the reference is. Right? So that we can share that, hey, I watched this 5-minute YouTube video.
Yeah.
I want to chat with you about it because I think it would be so cool to have it, right? Do the research. Can you watch this 5-minute video and then we can talk about it, right? When you both have that kind of shared understanding of what it is that you're talking about, both parties can really engage fully with that full understanding. And that's the best way to kind of reinforce that clear communication.
Okay.
And I mean, God, I did it today. But use like Google, right? Reddit has tons of stories. Go find DM perspectives on things that you can understand what's going on back there.
Not as bad as I thought it was.
Go ask ChatGPT or another kind of text generator. Hey, if I was trying to, or if you were trying to teach me how to learn X skill, how would you go about it? Break that down. Break that down. Put a positive spin on it. Okay, cool. right? If you're lost for how to create a better world around you, right? Just Google it. Honestly, somebody's already done it, right? Or developed the systems and the patterns that you can then adhere to, and then you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just making everything run a lot smoother.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think, I mean, I talked a lot, but
or just watch our videos. That'll help you out.
Yeah, common stuff like caffeine and cantrips.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about a lot of stuff, actually.
And all of it's so good.
And all of it's so good. It's even like bookmarks. So you can go right to the section.
Right,
you're just like, hey, what chemical are you? And you're like,
I mean, it's even better if you're not sure you understand something, you can just leave a comment, right?
Oh, yeah.
And like,
hey, guys.
The host will probably respond.
I don't get this. Well, if we get the signal.
Right.
I think the Dungeon Master normally.
Right.
But anyway, you tell us, comment. We'll see who writes back.
That's good. I think all the stuff that you do, like the clear communication with the DM. But the world is not, I think, always that perfect. No, because what if
get out of my Izukai.
Your DM isn't the type of person who can take that kind of frank, open communication.
Oh.
Right, because
Frank.
Geez, guy. There are people like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not through any fault of their own. It's just how they grew up, right? They just have...
It's their parents' fault.
Right? Trouble dealing with things that are even remotely critical.
Okay.
Maybe, right?
Yep.
Maybe they're just really insecure, whatever, right? But they're still trying their best, right? How can you then convey that information or get them to change behaviors without having open communication with them, without like being like confrontational or like direct?
Yeah.
Right. It's difficult.
That's a great question.
Right. Because I am sure there are people like that who are DMs.
Subliminal messaging, those like books on tape to listen to all night.
And what I have to say about that is that social proof is a thing.
Social proof?
Yes. Social proof, my thick accent.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
Oh.
Social proof.
Yes, social proof.
Interesting. Okay.
If for those of you who don't know what social proof is, it's basically a form of social influence, that relies on the idea that when people see others engaging in a particular behavior, they're more likely to follow suit.
Monkey see, monkey do? Basically. Okay.
Think of celebrity endorsements for things.
Okay.
Right? Some...
Look at him. Now look at me.
Look at him. Now look at me. Right? Like some celebrity goes, oh, I love this gin. It's the best gin ever. I happen to own the gin company.
So funny. Same actor, different product.
Right? Like, you love me. I love this gin. If you love me, then you'll probably love this gin. Right? It's that sort of social pressure.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, if this person that I really likes this thing, then I might like that too. And then it sort of makes you want to try that.
Right.
Right? That's think social media. Right? Oh, look, there's like 100 million likes on this restaurant ad. It's probably really good. Right?
Yes.
You've right? Like it's been shared like 500,000 times. It's got to be something.
Yeah.
There is testimonials and reviews. But I go to Amazon and buy things. First thing I look, I'm like, oh, okay, it does what I want. I go straight to the reviews. Right?
Okay, yeah.
How many? Is it 5 stars? Like, is it 4.5? Right. How many zeros are like? What's the complaints? Right. You're looking for that social proof that this thing is something, what it's supposed to be.
Interesting.
Or that it's not something.
Okay.
Peer pressure. It comes off really bad, like especially in like high school settings, right? In school settings, junior high school settings. But it is a form of social proof. Like everyone's drinking at the party. And like, yeah, I don't drink. Come on, man, we're all drinking. Yeah, drink some more. There's that pressure to also drink because everyone is drinking.
So we're talking about being a person who excels, right? Being the leader again, right? And pulling people along with you by showing you
What?
Or getting everybody to do better, and so you just want to do better
Well,
with the crowd?
that also is a social proof that you talk about, right?
Mm.
Like me being an awesome role player,
So awesome.
then other people are like, that's some really cool role play. Then they like, I want to do that. And if two people start doing that, then the third person will see two people doing it, and they're like, oh, two people are doing this? Then maybe I should too.
This is like the weaponized Mercer effect.
Right? And kind of. It's not weaponized. Come on.
No, sorry.
Right? And then that fourth player there will be like, well, if like 3/5 of the players are doing it,
Yeah.
I guess I should. And the last guy is like, well, I can't be the only guy not doing it. Right? And that's social proof.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
And we can use that to encourage
Yes.
someone, a
Yes.
DM who you can't speak with because they'll just shut down or run away or become aggressive or whatever, right? I'm not even joking, right? There are people that are like that.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? To engage in certain or sort of want themselves to do certain things.
Yes.
Right? I know it sounds kind of insidious. And again, right?
It's a tool. And in this case,
is a tool.
we're trying to use our tools for good.
Right? I want to say this now. I was going to plan on saying this later, but when you're doing stuff like this and you're trying to help your DM and trying to train your DM, do it out of a genuine interest of helping them. Don't be selfish about it. Okay? So as I go into this, keep that context in mind. You want to help them genuinely.
Okay. Yes.
Okay? Don't just peer pressure them into like eating 2 bags of like jumbo chips. Okay?
We started with peer pressure and then we got the disclaimer, guys. Where are we going next?
All right. So you're like, okay,
yeah,
that's a tool. How do I do it? Right? All you need is one simple trick. DMs hate it. No. All you need to do is talk to your fellow players when the DM can hear you. You don't have to talk to the DM.
Okay.
Right? Because, of course, they might get aggressive because they're really sensitive to this.
Yeah.
Right? Right? Like, for example, just offhandedly just discuss with your fellow players what aspects of D&D that you appreciate and then you enjoy.
Right.
Right? And those things that you appreciate and enjoy just happen to be the things that you would like your DM to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the other players will be like, I do enjoy that. I wish that we could have more of that. Like, don't be manipulative, but
no,
out of a genuine heart.
Best of intentions. Best of intentions. Okay? Yeah.
Or you can just make sort of casual references to your preferences, right? In like, say, story or your preferred storytelling approaches. Maybe you like talk about how you like immersive descriptions. Talk about like immersive descriptions that you've heard before. Right? To maybe talk about how you like those creative NPC interactions, right? And mix this with point number 1 that I talked about, right? Be encouraging.
Yes.
Positive feedback.
Yes.
Right? If your DM does any of this stuff. And like I said, by all means, if they do any of this stuff because they hear you guys talking about it and they're like, oh, they really like immersive descriptions. Oh, maybe I could do that. Right? Just to make them happy. I want to because we're all friends. I want to make them happy. So,
did you see that Caffeine and Cantrips on exploration and how to do it? Yeah, I love that episode. It's so good.
What episode? No, like maybe I should go watch it. Maybe I should go watch that myself. Yeah. I'm not going to let these guys know that I watched it. They'll just be so blown away after I learn that stuff.
Engage the phone.
Right? But yeah, let them know. Oh man, that description or that last exploration stint, really good. I liked it. Right? And again, they'll be like, oh, so they do like it. They think I'm awesome. Okay, I'll do more of it.
Yes.
Right?
Give the people what they want.
Maybe you can share articles and posts. You talked about that, right? You talked about like sharing like, oh, look at this video I saw.
Yes.
To like about DMing to the DM.
Yeah.
But if they can't take it, you can do it to the other players. Right? And the other players are like, oh, this is really awesome, blah, blah, blah. And the DM will just be curious. I guarantee you they'll be curious. What are you guys watching? What's so cool? and they'll come over and want to watch.
Right.
And they just happen to watch the thing that you want them to watch.
Huh. Crazy.
Right? Again, you're trying to help them. You're trying to help them, guys. Okay?
This is important.
This is important.
It's super important.
Yeah.
Right. That's you gotta really put your best foot forward when you this is positive manipulation, right? Manipulation itself is but in this case, once again, you can have that genuine interest to be like, hey, have you seen this other player? And they're like, no, I haven't. Okay, great. I'm just so happen to be engaging the scene in real life with the person who I want to have the message directed to them, but somebody else. No, it's this is kind of a higher level social ability.
Yes.
But I like it.
I want to say, don't start with this.
Oh yeah, no.
Don't start. Don't I want to help my DM change. I'm gonna start with social proof and like social pressure.
I would like oranges as snacks. Psychological warfare.
Start with Byron's point previous to this. Like, have open conversations.
Yeah.
Right? Talk, be direct. Please do that. And only start doing this stuff if that does not work.
Pretty awesome.
Okay? Guys, I can't reiterate that enough.
Caffeine Cantrips is not responsible for angry DMs jumping across the table because you mind F them.
Right? And if you're a DM and you notice your players doing this because they watch this episode, be understanding.
I see you, players.
Be understanding and just tell them, hey guys, if you have something you want to talk about, let's have a frank and direct talk.
Frankly, have a conversation about this.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go.
I love it.
I know that one's a little bit shady adjacent, right? So you guys be careful with that one. Do with that as you will. But remember, whether you are being direct, whether you are being sort of applying sort of sideways pressure to change, indirect, I should say. That's how I call that. Like direct pressure, indirect pressure.
Yeah.
I want you guys to remember that this isn't a race. Be patient with your DM. Be patient with yourself. Right. Be patient with your DM. You talked about that briefly, I think, in your first point.
Yes, all of this needs to be appreciation.
And I promised that I'd sit on this for a bit.
You did.
So yeah, be patient. Understand that it is a learning curve, right? And typically, learning curves are not linear straight lines. That's why they call them curves, right? Like, either it takes a long time before it launches.
Physics lessons.
Or the difficulty is really high until you reach a certain point, levels off. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So, either curve. And just like a player who is trying to learn something or get better at something, and just like how you need time to learn your characters, how to play better, how to role play better, how to do combat better, the DM is also on their own learning journey.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Whether they're further down or they're just beginning, maybe they're learning just sort of baby steps, they're not running yet.
Maybe they're switching systems.
Right?
Yeah.
Be patient. Understand that it takes time to learn things. Right? And we all have different sort of paces when we learn. Some people are faster, some people are slower.
Yeah.
Some people are stronger at certain things, so they learn that faster. Some people are slower at other things, weaker at other things, so they're slower at learning that.
Yeah.
Adapt to the DM's pace, learning pace.
Right.
Right. So
ultimately, it's their progress that you're kind of judging everything by. So
don't force them.
Yeah.
Right. Don't judge them for going slower than you think is appropriate. Right. They're going at the pace that they can go at.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you should be flexible, right, and just give your DM that space they need to grow.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Let them evolve sort of freely, right, with what they need, and then help them make the change in a comfortable place. Because it's like, again, the DM that role is difficult enough as it is. Right, without making it more difficult by having to do things you're not good at, and then by having your players judge you for doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So give them that space. Give them lots of space. Make sure they're comfortable.
Mhm.
Right. And then again, maintain that supportive attitude.
Right.
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 And that positive attitude. Right. Approach those situations positively. You mentioned that as well. Right.
Oh.
Like, don't go in being like, oh man, this is the worst thing ever.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like it's taking so long. Be like, no, flip it around. You know what? This is difficult. Any progress is awesome. Right. This is going to go somewhere great.
Mhm.
I want to see more of this. I'm
Mhm.
so happy that they're doing anything at all. Because I guarantee you, there are DMs out there who just don't think they need to improve. And they're not working on anything. Right. So if they are, you are lucky if they're your DM.
Yes, agree with you. But I think it's more of that kind of like finding their rut, finding where they're comfortable.
They're comfortable, right?
They're comfortable. So they don't
Yep.
necessarily think like, oh, I don't need to improve. More so it's like, no, I'm good.
Right.
I'm comfortable with what's going on. I'm in control.
Mhm.
Everything's in the flow. Everybody seems happy. Nobody's
Yeah.
giving me any negative feedback or any weird sandwiches to eat or any of that kind of stuff, right? So I think it's more like that complacency and that perhaps not knowing that there's something better
Mhm.
out there. And just like, oh, hey, have you checked out that new, live play on blah, blah, blah? It
Right.
was super cool. I loved how they did it. And they look at it and they're like, whoa, that game is so far ahead of my.
Oh man, when we first saw like Critical Role, I remember we were like, what? This is how it can be?
Yes. Specifically for me, that Exandria Calamity.
Oh yeah,
I
Calamity.
didn't
Yeah.
watch Critical Role. I got stuck on season 1 and a player that is no longer with them.
Oh.
It kind of ruined. I got to work through it.
You got some trauma there to work through.
I'm running like a bunch of campaigns. So I'm going to use working on stuff instead of watching stuff as my excuse. But no, you're absolutely right. Because once again, if we're going to attempt to believe the better part of the natures, then yeah, they're probably comfortable. They probably think like, yeah, this is cool. This is good. This is fun, right? I'm happy having fun here.
Right.
Why go off into the deep dark wood when this is fun? This is great, right?
Well, because I have all this social pressure to do more things.
But if one of the players hops the fence and takes a couple more players out there and they're like, hey, come on, you have to come with us.
It's so good here.
It's so much fun.
Join us on the other side of the fence.
Right? Yeah. And you're like, oh, well, maybe it is. Right. But that's part of that fun that we're talking about. Right? And that communication and or psychological warfare. Just like techniques, systems, right? That we are using to move us towards better games, right? This is the goal. And in this case, with everything that we've talked about here in this episode, these are all very justifiable ways that the ends do justify the means and vice versa, right? So get out there, be confident, be happy, be helpful, be the person that you want to be a neighbor to.
Well, and I want to leave you guys with this last point. Again, I want to just hammer this in, okay? No matter what approach you're taking, make sure you have a genuine desire to help your DM succeed, right? People can tell if you're doing something out of selfishness.
Passive insight, baby.
Right. You can just tell. You don't know what's going on, but you don't like it.
No, you get a feeling.
Yeah.
You get a feeling.
So be positive. Want to help your DMs. Want to help yourself. Want to help your players. Want to help your table have a better time. Right? That's why we're doing this. Because we have a genuine desire, I think, to help the whole D&D community and the TTRPG, the greater TTRPG community too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Better games are better games, whether we're a part of them or not, but we would like to be a part of your games. Fire us off a message. Oh, wow.
But two messages.
Two episodes back to back.
Yeah.
But yeah, No, I think if you entered this going, how to train a DM, what kind of clown hats are talking about this weird topic?
Right.
Perhaps now that you've gotten all the way through it, you can understand how, yes, there is a role, and yes, there is a function that's very valuable for people to share their strengths. So get out there, be a leader, get everybody to engage in FOMO, and make your table friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we'll be here making more content for you. So this has been Caffeine and Cantrips. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm Sean.
And I'm Byron.
And we'll see you next time. Or else.
Now, you were talking there about angry DMs, and I couldn't get the idea of the water boy being the DM and all the players having like jugs of alchemy, and no one will make water. They're like, beer's better. Mayonnaise is better. Acid is better. Yeah. Water's better. Fucking hilarious. I kept it real deep.